Okay, you guys, we've been going over this X sculpture project we got going on in the shop here. And the last time we showed you an episode a few weeks ago, it was all just a bunch of pieces and parts kind of going together and, you know, getting the structure ready. But now Robert has actually got this beast together, like all the little interior parts are together, and we want to kind of go over that with you guys and show you where we are right now.
Yeah, normally we would already have the pole set. We'd take the sign out there and slide it down on the pole, but this one's a little different. Robert had to get the pole inside of the frame he already built, and now we put the rest of the sign together around it.
Yeah, so it's definitely making it challenging. It's definitely making it massive and heavy for us to carry it around the shop. Let's go talk to him and see what he's been doing. All right, man, so how the hell did you get this giant beam, this steel beam, into this cage?
We knew we were gonna have to put the pole in before skin and all that stuff. This frame was just all clamped together, kind of tacked loose on one side so we could take the entire top off, you know, pick it up with the forklift, take the top off, set the pole inside, and put the cap back on, and then we could start finishing up the welding of the frame.
So initially it was just like, when we saw it last time, it was just little tack welds around the whole frame. Now that you've got the steel structure in there, you're going back and you're welding everything here solid.
Yeah.
But you're saying you can't weld it all in one shot, you gotta flip it each time?
You know, like Rick said, usually the saddles are in, the pole just slides through it. We use the sheet, the skin, to like straighten the frame from welding and distortion and that kind of stuff, but without having the skin on it, I've kind of had to start at the bottom and shim the frame up so that it's level with the pole, and then tack it.
And the reason why we're doing this again? Like why? Because of these stubs.
I can't slide into the frame. The frame's too skinny for the stubs to fit.
Okay, so when you're building a regular pole sign, the pole's in there and the sign slides down on there, but this got these little pipes sticking outside because we have to have the leg and the leg of the X in order to make it.
Right.
So that's why we had to put it in there. Now, last time we were talking, we said something about making a rotisserie to make this thing easier to maneuver around the shop. Did you guys get to that point?
Yeah, that's how we got it up on the end. We have both forklifts with a piece of 6-inch Schedule 40 on the end. I had to weld up a bracket that bolted to the plate at the bottom, but I've got a forklift stabbed into it from both sides and picked it up and sprayed it with WD-40 and pushed it over.
Yeah, this is really cool how you came up with the rotisserie idea, but how easy is it to spin this thing?
It was actually remarkably easy. Like, I thought we were gonna have to fight it. I kind of left it over here so that if we needed the chain hoist, we could chain around it and pull it around. And then we lifted it up with the forklifts, and I grabbed one pipe and Alex pushed on the other one, and the whole thing like went farther than it needed to go. We had to stop it and push it back.
And now that you got it tilted up on its side here and you got these pipes sticking out, it can't be laying on the floor. So what do you got here?
I had to build some pretty beefy stands because of the weight of this thing, because this is how we're actually going to get it into the paint booth also. You know, this is going to get wheels on the bottom so we can roll this entire thing in the paint booth.
Wow.
Just the way it's sitting.
Okay, so it's big, it's giant, it's super heavy. What's this thing right now, like 4,000 pounds?
Probably pushing 3.
3,000 pounds. So it's not like something we're just gonna carry into the booth like we usually do. So we made these big giant steel structures, we put the wheels on it, we'll slide it in there. So it should be pretty good once we go. Now, we are sheeting this side and this side of the structure, and then these are going to be the removable doors so we can service it or install it once we're out there. So right now we're concerned about, after you get this whole frame welded together, we're going to put those sheets on there, and those sheets have the buckets that contain the LEDs and that are going to light the white roadway dashes down the middle of the sign, right?
Yep.
So technically that should be good. Now the other two parts are getting ready to be fully painted, and then they're gonna slide on those things after we get this part installed. It's like, it's only a few pieces, but it's gonna be a little challenging to get this thing properly installed. But even though there's only 3 pieces, it's gonna be kind of challenging, let alone that we're building this thing. You know, we're still concerned about making sure we get it all fabricated, but we're thinking 7 steps ahead because of the install.
Well, yeah, Robert had to figure out where to put the pick points for lifting it out in the field.
Pick points. Robert, you want to tell us what pick points are? Show us, matter of fact.
Yeah, this is the top one. A lot of times on smaller frames, we'll just drill holes through the actual aluminum frame. I mean, smaller signs, we'll drill holes through the aluminum frame and weld a nut on the bottom so we can just thread eye bolts in. The weight of this thing, the lifting points have to be right on the steel, because that's how the crane's going to pick it up. Also, we have to pick this thing up at an angle so that the stub pipe will slide into the other pipe that's already mounted. So this has to be picked up at the actual angle that it's going to set down on. So I had the crane company out. They brought their rigging supervisor, and we figured out where he wanted them.
Okay, so how do you figure? Because you said this thing's got to be picked up balanced, right? I mean, it's got to have to be balanced, and obviously that big end down there with the big plate on the end is weighing more than this empty end up here.
Yeah.
How do you figure that?
You start off finding the balance point. So I set this thing on the ground on a pipe and just rolled it back and forth on the pipe until
like a seesaw.
You know, until you could move it just by pushing on it. So that's the balance point as far as weight, and then I need one above that balance point and then one below. So once I had all this stuff welded on, crane company came out, we talked about different options as far as being able to pick it up at an angle, and their rigging supervisor came up with an idea, and we're going to go with it. So he told me where to put the pick points, and then I came up with a shape and torched them out of a piece of 1/2-inch plate.
Well, now it looks like you got a couple different little lines here. You got a center line here and then a balance point and something up here. What happened to change that?
That was the balance point when it was just the pipe. And then I added that plate and all those gussets, and it moved it back all the way over here. And then adding the stubs brought it back.
These round stubs came up, just brought it back
Just
down
by
a little
adding
bit.
that much weight, it changed the balance point by 6 inches the other way.
Oh my God. Stuff nobody thinks of when you're doing stuff like this. I never thought of it. That's crazy. Now you guys got to think about what we're talking about here. Okay, so you got this X sculpture, and you've already got the bolts sticking up out of the ground, right? All our bolts here. So the first non-lit little leg needs to be installed flat down onto those bolts, bolt them up loosely. So now this big piece, as we're picking this 3,000-pound structure up in the air, by the time we get done, it'll probably be 4,000 pounds, right?
Skin,
So now it has to come down, and that stub, this stub right here, right, has to slide into that X that we, put already down, while simultaneously fitting down on those straight bolts coming up out of the ground. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but
one of the things we normally don't do, but this time we are, is hiring a guy from the crane company who is a master rigger. So he'll be rigging this thing up for us, because it's pretty critical. Something catastrophic could happen out there, when you're picking this thing up. And we got 40 foot we have to reach with this thing to set it up on top of that hill. So we're going to have an expert out there on how to lift.
That's a whole nother thing there, guys. This thing is in a giant rotunda that's probably, 80 feet round?
Yeah.
So this thing's in the center, and they built the ground up 6 feet from grade level. So it's on this big giant hill in the middle of this property. So not only is it going to be a crazy install, but we have to reach, and we can't drive the truck up on this mound. So it's just definitely going to be out there. You think that crane handle it?
Yeah, they're bringing a monster 70-ton crane.
So is that 70 tons? Does that mean it can pick up 70 ton, or is that what it weighs?
I don't know how the rating on cranes goes.
Yeah, but the farther you reach, the stronger crane you have to have, because of the counterbalance.
Yeah, because angle and stuff, as you start to get lower, you can lift a lot of weight if you're straight up in the air, but as you start to reach out, the load increases on the chassis of the truck, so that's why they're using such a big truck because of the reach.
Yeah.
They're not worried about it. They're like, no.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure they pick up stuff heavier than this all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Well, cool. All right, anything else we need to know about right now?
Just getting ready to flip it again and finish all the welding on this side, and then flip it one more time, and then we'll be ready for skin.
Yep, complete rotisserie chicken up in here.
Right. Yep. So, but now, once we get the skins on, how are we getting it into the paint booth?
I don't know. He said he's putting wheels on it.
That's a painter's problem.
It's a painter's problem. Why is it always a painter's problem? Come down at the final end, painter's problem. I hope Steve measured this thing and it actually fits in the booth.
Steve measured it?
Oh,
It'll fit.
All right, so everything hinges on these holes lining up with the bolts we already have set in the concrete that we set like a month ago.
yeah. Nobody's moved them, have they?
Hope not.
Okay, so as long as those bolts are all lined up, we should be good, huh?
That's right.
So no matter how many drawings and how many iterations and how many red lines and all the planning and the engineering that goes into this, when it comes down to it and you're out here and you have to make it work, there's a whole lot of steps, there's a whole lot of thought process that goes into that are not shown on that drawing. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Completely different. This is gonna be a crazy adventure. Thank you, Robert, for everything you're doing on this sign. It's way out there, man. This is some great work. We sure appreciate you being here and doing this. Thank you guys for checking us out, and stay tuned because this thing's going up in the next week or two.
Yes.
And we're ready to go. Thanks for watching the Media One Wrap This YouTube channel. See y'all next time.